Hey, 7th grade, Mr. Hildebrand here. First step of our TDA is we're going to read the article the whole way through together. Okay? We'll just read it, listen. So what I need you to do is pull it up on ClassKick or watch it on the screen. I need you to read with your eyes, listen with your ears as I read it out loud. Before we read the article, I just want to clarify. I know we've talked about this earlier this year. When you see the word poor, it does not mean homeless. Okay? Now, homeless people are poor. Poor people can be homeless, but poor just means, hey, you don't have extra money at the end, or don't have a lot of money at the end of the month. Maybe you don't have any money left over. Okay, so poor does not equal homeless. Okay, so you can be poor but still have a house or have an apartment. Okay, live somewhere. So let's go ahead. Now we clarified that, let's go ahead and read. All right, ancient Romans ate meals most Americans would recognize. Let's pretend it's 56 BC. You have been fortunate enough to be invited to the party at the home of Lucius Piso Cicerinus, Julius Caesar's father-in-law and former consul of Rome. What's for dinner? You need to prepare for pig. Archaeologists studying the eating habits of ancient Etruscans and Romans have found that pork was the staple of Italian cuisine before and during the Roman Empire. Both the poor and the rich ate pig as the meat of choice. Although the rich, like Piso, got better cuts, ate meat more often, and likely received larger quantities. They had pork chops, a form of bacon, and even served sausages. In other words, a meal not unlike what you'd find in Rome today, or in South Philadelphia. Researchers discussed the ancient Mediterranean diet at a meeting of the Archaeological Institute of America in New Orleans. Dinner parties were the way the Roman aristocracy showed off their wealth and prestige, according to Michael McKinnon, professor of archaeology at the University of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Status in the upper class was declared with the presentation of the meal, the use of rare spices and fine dinnerware, he explained. The wealthier you are, the more you want to invest in display and advertising to your guests. Flash was perhaps was more important than substance, said McKinnon. Whole animals showed great wealth. Besides the meat, there would be vegetables that looked a little different from what we eat today, said Angela Trenicosta of the University of Sheffield in the United Kingdom. Except for grain, which was imported in huge quantities from places throughout the empire, like North Africa, everything was locally grown. McKinnon and Trenicosta are zooarchaeologists, scientists who study the remains of animals found in archaeological sites. They rummage through the ancient garbage dumps, or middens, and occasionally even ancient latrines, looking for bones of animals and fish people ate. People would sometimes dump garbage in latrines instead of walking to the neighborhood dump, McKinnon said. We're going to go ahead and switch to our next page. From this, zooarchaeologists can deduce a great deal from bones about what life and diets were like in ancient Italy. Looking at the bones in the ancient dump, they can tell how the food supply worked. Zooarchaeologists also have literary evidence of what was eaten from writers, often denoted in satirical plays, where extravagant indulgences were mocked. Trenicosta specializes in the Etruscan civilization that preceded Rome and Italy. Much of her digging was in the tombs of rich Etruscans who often were buried with food and utensils. On some sites, she found 20,000 animal bones amid the rubbish. As the dominance of Rome grew, so did the city. What was largely a rural Etruscan society became a more urban Roman one, she said. That changed the food supply. Most food like today came from farms outside the city. But the city dwellers still raised pigs. They take up little room, can be easily bred and transported, Trenicosta said, and are easy to raise. They also had chickens, roaming, that looked much like the chickens of today, said McKinnon, and they were close to the same size. Though cattle tended to take up too much room, rich Romans had beef occasionally, sometimes goat. The lower classes ate to stay alive. Some historians believe the lower class was mostly vegetarian, but according to McKinnon and Trenicosta, that's not true. The lower class generally ate the same things the upper class did, but not the same cuts, probably not in the same quantities. Lower class Romans did not have fancy flatware. Instead, they used simple or makeshift utensils. Because only the upper class had kitchens at home, other Romans bought food from street vendors, something like the lunch wagons of today. Mostly, McKinnon said, they would put the food in large pots and make stews or a porridge. They might also boil the meat. Only the wealthy were able to broil or barbecue. Despite legend, most Romans or Etruscans did not eat exotic animals regularly. However, some upper-class dinners might include songbirds swallowed whole. One midden in Rome even contained the bones of a slaughtered camel. Songbirds are still eaten in some parts of Italy. One legend may be true, McKinnon said. Vomitoriums. With so much food at Piso's table, many would want to indulge. To make room, they would excuse themselves from the table and purge. All right, folks, that's the first time through. We will work through it together. We'll do some annotating together. We're going to break it down a little bit and really analyze and figure out what this means and how it answers our prompt. So stay tuned. We got some more learning to do.